is Larry Nelson. Larry is another of our instructional technology specialists, and he's in the Franklin Coronado feeder pattern. Those are a little bit intermixed there. But at any rate, Larry's going to be talking about why we should use whiteboard apps. Larry?
Well, as we finally wind down today, why do we want to use whiteboard apps? Well, I'm Larry Nelson, and let me share a few items with you. You know, interactive whiteboards are not new to us. We've been using Smartboard for a long time. Not everyone has one, but we have a lot of them in the district. Promethean boards are fairly new, and we've had them with the some of the later adoptions. But our newest, as has already been mentioned, is really not a board, is it? It's just that anything can be made a board with the Mimeo. So as far as interactive whiteboards, they're not new. How many students can use an interactive whiteboard? Well, that's pretty much up to us as a teacher, and so we can have one or we can have several. But as we look at using iPad apps as an interactive whiteboard, then we've got a little hardware and software to consider, but it's very easy, and I want to show you how easy it is. As far as the iPad goes, we're looking at turning on AirPlay. That's built into the iOS, so that's easy, and I'll show you that. There are two pieces of software that are very inexpensive, and we've been advertising them. We've all been showing these and trying to convince our principals to buy these for the faculty. And that is Reflector and a new one, Air Server. I'm using Air Server right now. Now, both are very, very good software. But here's the point I want to emphasize to us. We don't do anything with the iPad. To make the iPad interactive with this very inexpensive software, the software is installed on the laptop. And that turns on AirPlay, and when the laptop is connected to InFocus, we can project. Now, look how inexpensive and how easy it is to try this out. Now, Reflector is somewhere between $8 and $14.99. Some days it's $8, and we can go online to reflectorapp.com and find it for $8 as a teacher. But we only have a 10-minute trial period. But we can try it out. It's free for that amount of time. And it works very well. Sometimes it sticks a little bit on some of the screens, but it works very well. I've used it for almost a year now. I've just started using Air Server. Now, Air Server is about the same price, but notice one difference, and that is the number of licenses. So that I am talking to grade levels about maybe going together. If there's 4 or 5 teachers in your grade level, divvy it up $3 or $4 a piece, about $3 a piece maybe, and someone owns the license, but we can share the license and have this interactive tool very quickly, and as we try to wait for the purchase orders to go through the system and so forth. Now, again, keep in mind that both pieces of software are installed on the laptop. Nothing is done on the iPad. Now, basically on the iPad, to get the system working, you go to your home key and tap twice. And when you tap twice, and I have a lot of apps open, we have the multitasking bar up here at the bottom. Now, when I swish or scroll from left to right, what I'm looking for is the AirPlay symbol. And that AirPlay symbol immediately is going to connect my iPad with the laptop that's in the area. Now, the question has been asked, will that iPad connect with any laptop that's running the software in the district? Yes, yes, it will. So what is the solution? Well, it's very simple. If you have your iPad and you double tap on home and you go to this, you can't log in. You can't get there because I put a password on it. And why did I put a password on it? So that I don't interfere with the teacher next door to me and they with me by accidentally, or a student accidentally clicking on, and I'm teaching a lesson and my screen disappears. That has happened to me in PLCs, so I learned very quickly to password it. So by going to the multitasking bar and turning on AirPlay, then we have the system working, and whatever displays on the iPad shows on the laptop screen, which shows on the projector. So as far as getting any app, any interactive app, we're talking about whiteboards, of course, but any app, we can use Air Server or Reflector, and it works very well. So back to the original question, why do we use interactive apps? Well, we've seen this afternoon that the iPad is a pencil. Some of our interactive whiteboards are a pencil. We want active involvement, as Clay was pointing out to us. So these are some very good reasons why. But basically, as we look at students having direct access to technology, we want to be able to blend our instruction, have some of it online possibly, as well as on site, so that we take advantage of it. If each student has their iPad from the CAL, or we're able to share, even if we have one iPad, share it with each student as we walk around the room, we can do that. Now, flipping is an interesting way that the iPad, the interactive app with the iPad, can be used. Now, we're not able to take the iPads home. We know that. We're not going to see that as a reality for a while. So having our students use the iPad at home may seem like a little bit of a dream, but it's coming, I feel. And I want to show you one little clunky tool that could be used to help us flip the classroom by using the iPad interactive whiteboard. Another is in the area of differentiation, where in our iPad, do we use it ourselves for whole class instruction, or do we use it as a small group, or do we use it as individual instruction? So when it comes to an interactive whiteboard app, as we've seen the apps used today, that is some areas that we need to consider, and it would be a very good instructional tool. Also, because I am connected to my laptop wirelessly, I'm not connected with the dongle, I'm connected wirelessly, I'm able to walk all over the classroom. I could probably walk all over this school and still be connected with my laptop. I know I can because we're in the same network. Now, the problem that we've encountered working with teachers is, and it's going to be a problem, is which server is our iPad on? Is it on EPISD or is it on EPISD iPads? Well, it really doesn't make any difference except your laptop and the iPad must be on the same wireless network. And since it's on EPISD, we want to keep our iPad, our teacher iPad, on EPISD. So far the whiteboard apps give us direct access to technology, gives our students direct access. We can connect wirelessly with our laptop projected on the screen, and we can also have alternative assessments. Joe showed us many ways that the iPad as a pencil could be used as alternative assessments. And some of the ways that he did with Educreations is that we go online, we download, we insert pictures, we create drawings, text, or whatever the assignment is, or whatever the students want to do. We have active thinking and learning. Now, which whiteboard app is good for us? Which is the best? Well, of course, there isn't one that's always the best. So let me just show you some real quick that could be used. And I'm going to go live and show you one very easily. I went too fast. This is called, as you see on the third row, Draw Letters. Now, Draw Letters is a pre-K K1 whiteboard app. And basically, it's where students can draw letters and numbers, and also by tapping on the letter at the top, the letter sounds. Now, what's an interesting thing, and I was showing this, and I was drawing, and in my drawing, the teacher said, "You're not using even pressure." And so this whiteboard app was interesting because as we were drawing, and I had teachers all throughout the day at many schools during PLC sessions doing this, we found that we did not use even pressure, except all of our pre-K K1 teachers had no trouble as I watched them draw. And I'm having to make a concerted effort on that they do use even pressure. And this app is very interesting, this whiteboard app. Now, the only problem with this one is we have advertising at the bottom. Now, another whiteboard app is Screen Chomp. Let me show it to you again. It's Screen Chomp. Now, Screen Chomp is a little bit up the ladder from Draw Letters, and actually it can be used at any grade level. For one thing, down at the lower left corner, we can insert background from many places and we can remove it. So it has a little bit more of a whiteboard feel. In addition, we have three types of drawing tools. We have the thin, the medium, and I happened to choose a color, a thick. This has an interesting erase tool. You hold down the second icon from the left and it erases. If you don't hold it down, it doesn't erase. And we can also erase individually. So what do you want to use this whiteboard app for? And that's basically what we're looking at. Is it a drawing tool? Is it a writing tool? Or is it a multimedia creating tool? This one's not good for that. So let's look at another one. Now, a new one to me is called Jot, J-O-T. And again, it's got advertising at the bottom, which is kind of distractive. We have 4 colors on the right side. And by tapping the camera icon over here, this one also allows us to insert photos, which most of them do, and select various backgrounds. And one of the favorite backgrounds that I've found with teachers is the ruled lines. Of course, for math teachers, we may look at coordinates and so forth. So we're moving up the line, and let me show you one more. Now, this is very much like Joe was showing us this morning with EduCreations, and this is called Show Me. Now, Show Me has basically 7 colors. We can record it like Joe was doing with EduCreations, and EduCreations is the whiteboard app that is included in the TLI grant, Texas Literacy Initiative grant. One interesting thing, well, let me see. No, excuse me, I was thinking of EduCreations. Let me show you something about EduCreations that when Joe was creating his stories this morning, he didn't really have time for this. One thing, and he did point out that EduCreations has about 10 colors. But besides being a drawing board and having 4 different types of backgrounds to it, one thing I like this, it also has a text box capability. So in this particular app, this is the only one that I've really found that allows you to actually enter text from the keyboard. And as I enter text, we can change the font size. If you look right over there above the W and E letters, right between W and E, I can increase that font size just by tapping the T+. So this is another way that an interactive whiteboard, whether it's multimedia, drawing, or adding text, can be used. Now, we're talking about active learning and thinking, and which whiteboards. Well, we've seen several different whiteboards, and the problem with all of our whiteboard apps and iPads is we're not able to really have the student take it home and use it. So let me just briefly show you a little clumsy tool, but it may be very effective, that I've found. Now, to show you this, I'm going to assume I don't have my iPad. So I'm going, and I won't. I'm going to minimize Air Server. And on my site, which a lot of you know, I have a lot of handouts posted. In the left sidebar, under iPad Basics, I have a very strange link here that I was able to find. And if you're interested in this for your Weebly web page, the code is posted here. And that is this. I found the code in which enables us to take a simple web page and make it an interactive whiteboard. Why? Because now that gives us, even though it's a real clumsy tool, because we're using mouse and touchpad and not the touch screen, it does give us a way to flip the classroom. Let me show you some real quick features of this and show you that it can be used. Now again, I'm using the mouse pad, which is harder than using a mouse. I do have colors, so right away, just like the iPad. I do have a drawing tool. I can make it thin, and now the hard part. How do you draw letters with a mouse and a touchpad? Very carefully, really. And so, as I thicken it, you can see that it is limited, but at the same time, we're talking about, an interactive whiteboard where we can flip and it can be in our Weebly web page. Actually, the code, if you're interested, is very simple. It fits on any web page, not just Weebly. But I put it on Weebly just because we seem to push a lot. Now, for instance, what if I wanted to email this to the teacher, the student wanted? By clicking the post link, I create a link at the top. Oh, let me go back. I forgot one important thing I wanted to show you, and that is I can create text here as well. So if I click and I press enter, I can also enter text, and by using the contact form in Weebly, I can have the student email me, as a teacher, email me their homework. Now, it's a clumsy tool, and unless we're using Windows 8 or some other touchscreen capability, it's really maybe not. But I found it, I fell in love with it, I played with it, and it is a way that we could flip the classroom. If you're interested in that, and again, it's clumsy, but there is a page here that has the code. It looks terrible, but it's very easy. Just copy everything from the doc type line all the way down, copy and paste it into Weebly using the custom HTML element or whatever, and it works like a charm, and it really does. So I wanted to point that out to you. It is a clumsy tool, but it does work very well. Well, we've talked about our whiteboards and our web-based, and I do have several in the handout. I do have several screens showing you how to use it. But basically, in web class, I do have that posted in the left sidebar. Why do we want to use a whiteboard, an interactive whiteboard app? Very quickly, it gives our students direct access. We can go anywhere in the classroom. We don't have to stand at the front. It gives our students active learning, and just like Joe pointed out, we can use the rear camera and take pictures of student work and insert it into the into our interactive whiteboard.